Nintendo has released a ton of Mario games over the years. So many, in fact, that pretty much everyone who plays video games has played one or two games featuring the little plumber at some point in their life. And I'm definitely one of them. I've played a number of these games in my time, so I thought it would be fun to sit down and actually make a tier list of what I think are some of the best Mario games out there. So the way I've got this set up is pretty straightforward. The A tier is for the awesome games, the best of the best. The B tier is for the good games, the ones who are really fun to play, but maybe just not quite good enough to make it to that A tier. The C tier is for the games that are just sort of okay. They're not particularly bad or good, they just fit right there perfectly in the middle. Now the D tier is going to be for the games that maybe they're not the worst thing in the world, but if there was something better to play, you would definitely go with that. And finally, the F tier is for the pure trash garbage, absolute rubbish, total dog crap games. These are the games that you wouldn't even want your worst enemy to play. So we're gonna kick things off where everything started for me, the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES, which actually also came with Duck Hunt. It's a legendary game with one of the most recognizable pieces of video game music ever composed. However, Mario doesn't control the best in this game, and some levels can be a real headache to go through, so I think it's best to put the original Super Mario Bros. In the C tier. Up next is naturally the sequel to that game, Super Mario Bros. 2, or as it was called in the States, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. For those of you who don't know, this game was going to be released in the States just as it was in Japan, but people found it way too difficult and so plans were changed. Now, my first experience playing this game was in the remake in the Super Mario All-Stars collection on the Super NES. I don't think I've ever played the original version of this game, but I'm gonna count it here for the tier list, and I'm gonna stick it in the D tier, just shy of making it into the C tier solely for the difficulty. Now, the next game was also introduced to me for the first time through Super Mario All-Stars, what we call here in the States as Super Mario Bros. 2. Everybody knows at this point that this game was originally called Doki Doki Panic and had nothing at all to do with Mario, but because the actual Super Mario Bros. 2 game was considered too difficult, this is what we got instead. Despite the fact that it feels a good bit different from the game that came before it and the game that comes after it, I think it's a decent little game, so I'm putting it in the C tier. Next up, we have a game that is widely considered one of the greatest video games ever created and is one of my personal favorites of all time, Super Mario Bros. 3. What more could be said about this game that hasn't already been said? It's iconic, and you already know which tier I'm putting it in. I mean, honestly, did you really expect me not to just automatically put it in the A tier? Next up, we've got Dr. Mario, which isn't a platformer in any way, shape, or form. I honestly don't remember the first time I played Dr. Mario. I haven't played it very many times, and I didn't hate it, but it didn't really impress me all that much. I think I'm going to put it in the C tier behind Super Mario Bros. Because I don't think it is particularly bad, but I would much rather just play a standard Mario game than this. Now we're moving to the Game Boy, and the only Mario game I played on that console, Super Mario Land. I've beaten this one several times, including one run on this channel, and it's a Mario game on the Game Boy. This was exactly what it needed to be, a short little handheld Mario game. Nothing more, nothing less. Now it's time to put the Super in Super Mario as we move to the Super NES and Super Mario World. This is a game I've beaten many times, and for many people, it is their favorite Mario title. This game was originally going to be called Super Mario Bros. 4, but they changed it at some point. And while I do think this is a successful sequel, I just didn't connect with it the way I did Super Mario Bros. 3. Still a really good game, and I would advise anybody who hasn't played it yet to check it out. Next up, somebody at Nintendo thought it was a good idea to let Mario get behind the wheel. And because of that, we now have Super Mario Kart. Nowadays, there are plenty of Mario spin-off lines to choose from, but Mario Kart may be the most popular one of them all. I used to play this game a lot, and though the higher difficulties can be a pain, it's still a lot of fun. Definitely deserves the B tier. Now, I've talked about this several times already in this video, but I think it deserves its own spot on the tier list because it really is a great selection of games. This is the Super Mario Bros. All-Star Collection. full 16-bit remakes of all of the NES Super Mario Bros. Games, including the Lost Levels, which had not been released in the US before this very set. Now, I played all 4 of the games in the All-Star set, but for a while there, this was the only way I had to play Super Mario Bros. 3, so it deserves the A tier just like the original does. Moving on, by a show of hands, how many of you actually owned a Virtual Boy in the past? That console only had a handful of games released for it, and I only had 2 of them, Galactic Pinball and Mario's Tennis. Now, did I have fun playing Mario's Tennis when I was actually playing it? I guess. I mean, I don't think it was awful, but it was a very basic game and there wasn't really all that much to it. D tier is probably the best place for this one. Now we're getting into another game that I consider to be one of my favorites of all time as we move on to the Nintendo 64. That is, of course, Super Mario 64. Be honest, as soon as I said that title, you could hear Mario's voice pop into your head and say, "It's me, Mario!" There's no point in even discussing this. We all know it's going in the A tier. Now, of course, Mario likes to play different kinds of sports, golf being one of them. So, now we're talking about Mario Golf. Now, I kind of like to dust this game off every once in a while and play it to chill because I like some of the music in it, but to be honest, I get bored when I play this game. Now, I think if you're playing with other people, you'll probably get a little bit more enjoyment out of it, but I think Mario Golf is a strong C-tier game in the end. Now, Mario playing tennis on the Virtual Boy didn't work out so well, but here on the Nintendo 64, it actually was a big improvement. Now, I've never really considered myself into tennis at all, but Mario Tennis is actually a lot of fun, and I enjoy it probably more than any of the other Mario sports games. So believe it or not, I think I'm going to go ahead and stick Mario Tennis in the B tier. Now, of course, Nintendo didn't invent the concept of turning board games into video games, but Mario Party was a big hit and it's still going strong even today. The original Mario Party, however, did have some balancing issues and it felt unfair at times. It's still Mario Party and it's still fun, but I think some of the sequels are just better games, to be quite honest. And speaking of which, Mario Party 2 enters the chat. From what I've read online and heard people say, I think Mario Party 2 may be one of the most popular in this series of games. Even the little things like having the characters be in different costumes for the different boards is just such a neat little thing that they added. It definitely deserves the B tier. Now we're on to Mario Party 3, which was the first in the series to let you play as Waluigi. And that's all I got. Yeah, I don't really remember much about this game. I haven't played it in a long time, and yeah, it's Mario Party, so I'm sure it's still a fun game, but it's just been too long. I don't remember hating this game, but I feel like if it would have left a lasting impression on me, I would have probably remembered it more like I did Mario Party 2, so it's probably best to stick this one in the C tier at least for now. Now, Super Mario RPG would remain buried for a long time, but it did get a spiritual successor on the Nintendo 64. That is, Paper Mario. Now, I had never played Super Mario RPG from the SNES, but Paper Mario really won me over. There's a special charm to this one, and I feel like even though I don't play it very often, it's such a good little game that I have to put it in the A tier with some of my favorites. And we're still not done with the N64. We haven't even talked about Mario Kart 64 yet. In my opinion, a massive upgrade from the SNES Mario Kart, which I still liked, but this one is just far superior. I played the crap out of this game when I was younger, and still like to fire it up every now and then today. It's gotta go to the A tier. Now let's move on to the GameCube with Mario's next big 3D platforming adventure, Super Mario Sunshine. Now I have to say this first. I love Super Mario Sunshine. It is a great game, and it's a lot of fun to play. However, it did not blow me away the same way that Mario 64 did. It's still a really great game, and I would advise all of you to go and check it out at some point if you can, but I'm sticking it in the B tier. We got more Mario Party on the GameCube, with the first of this line being Mario Party 4. If Mario Party 2 is my favorite of the Mario Parties, then I think I would put Mario Party 4 in second place. It's one of the better Mario parties, but I feel like it doesn't quite deserve the B tier. Maybe the absolute peak of C tier is where it's best suited. Our next game is more Mario Party with Mario Party 5, and here they introduced the concept of capsules on the board, and I didn't like that. I didn't like replacing the items with capsules, I didn't like how the capsules were utilized, and it just made the game less fun. Were it not for the capsules, I might would put this in the C tier, but I think I'm going to stick it in the high D tier just because I hate the capsule concept so much. People loved Paper Mario on the N64, so naturally Nintendo decided to give everybody a sequel. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Paper Mario was a great game, and The Thousand-Year Door is right up there with it. Potentially even better. I'm never really sure which of the first two Paper Mario games I think is the best, but I gotta stick it in the A tier. It deserves to be there just as much as the N64 game. At some point, Mario decided to take up soccer while he was on the GameCube. This is Super Mario Strikers. Now, I didn't play this one very much, but what of it I did play was a lot of good chaotic fun. This game also has native widescreen, which is sort of rare for a Nintendo game at the time. I'm thinking high C tier is the best place for Super Mario Strikers. We got one more sport to cover for old Mario on the GameCube. Mario Superstar Baseball. Of the Mario sports games, I think this is the one I care about the least. I don't know quite why, but this game sort of annoyed me more than anything else. I had some fun playing it, but if I never played it again, I don't think I would ever actually miss it. Now, believe it or not, I didn't really spend much time playing any of the Game Boy Advance Mario game releases, but because of Nintendo Switch Online, I was actually to complete a run of Super Mario Advance for Super Mario Bros. 3 on this very channel. I know, you're sick of me talking about Super Mario Bros. 3 again. Well, this is an entirely separate, completely different game, okay? This is basically the Super Mario All-Stars build of the game, with more levels added and even voiceover, so this makes this a little bit different and a little more special in my opinion, and it's still the same great game that we all know and love. Now we're moving from talking about a good remake of a game that I love, to a bad remake of a game that I love. I'm talking about Super Mario 64 DS. A game that is very frustrating to try to play, especially when one of your favorite games ever is the original Super Mario 64. I don't think I ever beat this game, and there are some positive aspects to it, but man, it's just not the same. Thankfully, somebody at Nintendo realized that tradition works sometimes, and that got us the reboot of traditional 2D platforming Mario games in the form of new Super Mario Bros. This was a big deal at the time to see Mario return to his roots, and in my opinion, the Versus multiplayer mode that you can play with somebody else on another DS is way too fun to pass up. This one's an easy one, a very high B-tier game. Now, the Wii was a big deal when it was released too, which also gave us more new traditional 2D platforming Mario games, appropriately named New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Now, it's just like I said, it's a new 2D Mario game on the Wii, but I think they improved a lot of things here. It may not win any awards or be anyone's favorite game, but if you enjoy 2D Mario, check out New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I think you'll enjoy it. Next up, Mario saves the entire galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy. Now, some of you may hate me for this, but I didn't really enjoy Super Mario Galaxy all that much. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. It's not a bad game at all. But it kind of struck me in a similar way that Super Mario Sunshine did. Now, I couldn't remember much at all about Super Mario Galaxy from when I played it on the Wii, but because they re-released the game on the Nintendo Switch through the 3D Mario All-Stars collection, I was able to play it in a more modern time and able to truly grasp the game for what it was. And it's a lot of fun, but again, it just doesn't quite measure up to A-tier material in my opinion. Next up is Mario Galaxy 2, which I also don't remember, but they didn't re-release this game, so I don't really know what to say about it. The general consensus I've seen online is that Mario Galaxy 2 is superior to the original, so I think just based off of that alone, I'm gonna put it in the B tier next to the original Mario Galaxy. I think that's fair. Now I want to talk about Mario Kart Wii. I didn't like this game. When I tried to play it, I tried to play with the steering wheel addition to the Wii remote, and it just wasn't enjoyable, and I hated it so much that I never gave this game a second chance. Part of me wants to stick it in the F tier because I hated the steering wheel mechanic so much, and that was clearly the way they preferred you to play it, but I feel like if I played it with a standard controller, I would probably like it, so I'm going to stick it in the D tier for the time being. Now we're moving into the Wii U, and we're going to start with a game that really took over the world when it first launched. Talking, of course, about Super Mario Maker. Nintendo actually gave us a game centered entirely around building your own Mario levels. It was great! And as much as people complain about the Wii U and that gamepad, it was perfect for this game, almost like this console was made specifically for Super Mario Maker. Gotta put it in the A tier. Now, Mario didn't get a true 3D platformer game on the Wii U. Instead, it got an upgraded version of a 3DS game, sort of. This is Super Mario 3D World. Now, I enjoyed playing it, and I think it's a pretty fun game. But this ain't no 3D Mario platformer. There's some chaotic fun to be had here when you play with other people, but I think it only deserves to go to the C tier. Now remember when we talked about how 2D Mario was back in a big way? Well, for the Wii U, this is where it starts to fall apart. New Super Mario Bros. U is not a bad Mario game. It's not even a bad 2D Mario game. I feel kind of bad to put it in the C tier, but I just don't feel like there's anything really special about it at all. There's still more new Super Mario Bros. Games to discuss as well. We're moving to the 3DS now with New Super Mario Bros. 2. I kind of feel the same way about this one too. It's traditional 2D Mario. It's not bad, but there's just something missing. The gold coins gimmick was interesting, but I feel like you could have done something a little bit better. Gotta put it in the C tier. Now the 3DS gave us something pretty unique, a Mario Party mini-games collection set. Mario Party The Top 100 takes different mini-games from all of the different Mario parties and puts the best ones in one collection. Of course, it's just the mini-games, so you don't actually have any sort of board to travel around, and that is kind of a disappointment, so I think we'll put it in the C tier. It's perfectly fine, and if you really like some of these mini-games, then maybe you'd like to check this one out. The next game, I think, is an underrated title from the 3DS, especially for Mario. If you haven't played Super Mario 3D Land, you're missing out big time. 3D World was supposed to be a bigger, more, advanced version of this game, but in my opinion, I think they got it right the first time. Love starting a new run in this game every so often, and I'm kind of torn between putting it in the higher portions of the B tier or the lower portions of the A tier, but I think for now, I'm going to stick it in the A tier. Next up is Paper Mario Sticker Star. Straight to the F tier. Now let's talk about Mario Maker again, because a version of that game was released for the 3DS as well. Now I did buy this release and had planned to try to tinker around with it a little bit, but honestly I feel like that game was best suited on the Wii U. This may sound a bit cruel because it is mostly the same game, but stick with the Wii U on this one. Now we're finally at the Switch, and our first game up here is a game that is quickly becoming one of my favorite games I've ever played, Super Mario Odyssey. Unlike Sunshine or Galaxy, Odyssey really felt like a true sequel to Super Mario 64. The game looks great, has amazing music, and it always puts me in a good mood whenever I play it. Gotta be A tier. Mario Maker got a sequel on the Switch as well, with Super Mario Maker 2. Now, I do believe that making levels in this game is a little bit harder than it was in the first game with the Wii U gamepad. But they give you so many more objects to play around with in this game. It may not be quite as fun or as easy to make levels in this one, but you get a whole lot more variety now. So, would you have ever expected Mario to team up with the Rabbids from the Rayman franchise? No, of course not. but I think we can all agree that the result was pretty dang good. There are 2 Mario and Rayman games out now, and I've only played the first one, but I think it's a very strong C-tier game. So we talked about Super Mario 64, we talked about Super Mario Sunshine, and we talked about Super Mario Galaxy. Let's talk about them all together in Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This collection was a bit controversial in that there were really not that many enhancements done to the game except slightly higher resolutions and no real amount of extras aside of being able to listen to all of the music. Plus, Nintendo decided to delist it from their eShop for some stupid reason. It may have Super Mario 64 on there, but Sunshine and Galaxy are B-tier games in my opinion, so I feel like I have to put this whole set in the B tier. Mario Tennis Aces had Luigi be possessed by an evil tennis racket. While I do think this is a solid game, the recycled audio from Nintendo not wanting to pay the voice actors to come in and do more lines is just really weird. Super Mario Party gives us Mario Party on the Switch. It's a fun game, but I feel like it's just not quite as good as some of the older Mario Parties. Definitely one of those games that's funner to play with other people. Sticking it in the C tier. And my thoughts on the next game are basically just going to be copy and paste. Mario Party Superstars. Again, not bad, but there are better Mario Party games out there. Nintendo decided to dust off Super Mario RPG for a remake on the Switch. Now, it didn't quite live up to the hype in my opinion, but in no way do I think that means it's a bad game. It was cool to see the origins and influence for Paper Mario, so I'm sticking this in the high portion of the C tier. Sometimes a really wonderful game will just plop right into your lap out of the blue. This is Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I think everybody at this point had been burnt out on the new Super Mario Bros. Games, and we needed something fresh. 2D Mario needed a fresh coat of paint, and boy did this one deliver. B tier for sure. Now Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a pretty long-lived game. It's been around for a while, and when you take into account how much DLC was added to the game, it's basically 2 games in one. Now I learned my lesson and played this game with a standard controller, and boy am I glad because these courses are a lot of fun. The 3D All-Stars collection wasn't the only game Nintendo killed from its eShop. Remember Super Mario Bros. 35? Nintendo took the time to make a Mario Battle Royale game, and then they killed it after 6 months for no reason. I still haven't forgiven them for that because I think if they'd have just let it grow, it could have been something special and people would still be playing it today, but I'm gonna have to put it in the C tier for now because we just didn't have that much time with it. And last but not least, we have the most recent Mario game to be released, and it's for the Nintendo Switch 2. This is, of course, Mario Kart World. Now, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with this game, but it does remind me a lot of Mario Kart 8. I'm having a lot of fun with it. For some reason, this game feels harder than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did though, but I feel like it's best suited for the C tier for now, at least until I can play it a little more. And there you have it. That's my Mario tier list, and boy, it took a while to get through all those games. What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? What would you rank higher or lower? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel, then hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, I'm gonna go find my copy of Paper Mario Sticker Star. Not to play it though, so I can go bury it out in the yard.